Yeah,
And
that's right.
and at the moment I cannot get in or out of the Hawkesbury. And that's put in an alert to tell everybody in Mulgrave and McGrath Hill, you're out.
Oh, okay.
The entire suburbs are out.
Right. Yeah, this must be quite concerning. Yeah.
So are you locked in by flooding, Pauline?
No, I'm lucky. I got out last Thursday. I'm with friends at the moment in Castle Hill.
Yeah.
But pretty much every single road in and out of the Hawkesbury at the moment is closed. Either fully or in part.
Wow, it's incredible, isn't it? The amount of rain that seems to be unleashing itself constantly from the sky. You never thought there was that much water up there.
Amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah, I heard a report that said that they did these investigations on houses, and they checked 2,000 houses out of 3,000 that were flooded. And they said those 2,000, they checked 3,000 houses, and out of those 3,000, 2,000 had to be demolished.
Oh, gosh.
You know.
And probably not insured either.
Sorry, what's that?
And probably no insurance because of the floodplain.
Yeah, I heard in Lismore the water insurance or the flooding insurance is $28,000 annually per residence.
Shocking, isn't it? So,
you know.
Well, when I first moved out to the Hawkesbury and I let my then insurer know that I'd moved, they changed all my details, and then they said, oh, I was moving from Blacktown to Windsor. And they said, oh, thank you very much, but we are now increasing your policy monthly payment.
Yeah.
I now understand why.
Yeah, I tell you what, insurance is good business to get into.
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly very scientific and very prosperous.
Very prosperous.
Yeah,
it won't be out till they pay out everybody.
Yeah, you don't see insurance executives living in humpies or in flooded areas.
No.
Yeah. Cool. So, how is everyone else? Is everyone else dry?
Yep.
Good now. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you copying it, Dave? Because you're way up there.
I was good where I was, but it was flooded all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite quite intense actually. Yeah, a fair few roads blocked off and whatever else. So
yeah.
Yeah, but I was quite lucky where I am.
Yeah, it's a bit strange when you start seeing drivers go by with floaties. You know, you start thinking something's up.
Actually, I wanted to ask if I could just quickly say something. I've started doing weekly readings on YouTube and Facebook. If anyone's interested in them, I can put it's just under my name, David M. John. So if you're interested, I do, like weekly psychic readings. Sometimes there's practices and techniques that come through. Just give a bit of a general thing at the start and then go through the days of the week. So yeah, if anyone's interested, I've got about 3 years on YouTube and also do Facebook and Insta as well.
Why don't you put maybe your channel? Would that be the best? Put your channel URL into the chat.
Yeah, cool. I'll do that now. Thank you.
Now, also, I love when you guys support each other because, you know, many of you are going out there aiming to become coaches, to help people. And, you know, if you guys can support each other, that often really, really helps. So if you guys have a YouTube channel or a Facebook page that you want liked or anything like that, feel free to pop it in the chat. And then that way anyone that wants to can just go on and grab those links. And feel free to share it among yourselves, you know, equally in emails and things like that too. Because I think, you know, like I know some people think competition. and they start thinking, oh my God, you're a life coach, I'm a life coach, why would I do that? Well, I'm not a believer in that. I'm a believer in working together and supporting one another, because, I think if everyone can just help each other, in their businesses and what they're doing, you create a lot more flow in my view. So, I believe in collaboration rather than competition. Over the years, I've found that collaboration is a really great way to really build your momentum. I've been involved in a lot of networking groups over the years, and quite often you'd be surprised how many people will support you and love sending clients your way and all of that, because you're all working together, and that's the way I think that's the way successful people really do see it. I don't think, successful people, are not collaborators. I feel that they actually are collaborators, and I think it's a good way to start looking at the world. Cool. So before we jump in today, we're going to get into hypnosis. I also asked you last week, what would be your word? What would be your actual word that you would say, right, that is my word? And I said the thing that I really wanted to do was inspiration, that I wanted to focus on providing inspiration. And so when you know what your word is, or you know what your focus is, it's really easy to start building things. It's really easy to start creating things. So that was my entry into this week. What is your word? So I just want you to just share any observations, any challenges, any questions you might have before we go into hypnosis, because that's what we're getting into today. That's right, we're getting into hypnosis. Cool, and I'll bring my microphone much, much closer. So, what would you like to share? Now, also, I'm going to give you permission to, even if you have any challenges or problems, feel free to put them into this space and say, hey, I've got a challenge. Does anyone know the answer to this? Because if you are moving forward, you are getting lots of problems. If you have no problems, you're not moving forward. So it's a good thing to have problems, because you go, oh my God, this is my challenge right now. I don't know how to do this. So would anyone like to share any problems, any questions, any observations, or anything you want to share?
I must be moving forward a lot then, because I've got shit coming out of everywhere, mate.
That's a good thing.
On the other side, I did try that story, the narrative technique, and the first client I used it with actually broke down in tears, like what happened with me. So I thought, hey, if she's crying, I'm winning here. I'm doing well. And and then I did ask her, are you okay? And it did really help a lot. And I've used that, using narrative a few times since, and it's worked really well. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's helped to bring over information in a bit of a more palatable way.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a few people. So yeah, super cool.
Yeah, and the great thing about metaphors is that what you can do is you can look at a person's problem, and then you can think to yourself, how can I put the solution into a story and just tell them a story? And you can do, does anyone remember Columbo? Anyone remember Columbo? Columbo, of course, was a kind of, he was a guy that basically looked quite absent. His hair was all disheveled, and he looked like he just wasn't with it. But that was his edge, because he would vague out and he would, start telling stories or making himself appear a little bit stupid or silly, and of course the thieves, the crooks, the robbers, whatever you want to call them, they would go, he's just an idiot. And they would say things and he would pick up on those, and that would become his lead as a detective. And so you just do your best Columbo. You can play naive, you can play vague, you can just say something and go, I don't even know why I said that. It just jumped into my mind, and that's a great way to deliver a metaphor. So very, very cool, Dave. Michael, you have a questione.
Am I on? Yes, good. Thanks, Rick. I was doing a practice session on timeline and on an issue, and said, go back to the first event. And the person I was with didn't go back very far at all.
Yeah.
And so we worked on that one. All right, so let's try something that was associated, and went back for that issue. I'm back.
Yeah. You've just frozen.
At all. But
Yep.
what I sort of gleaned, for instance, there, that he needed to know to go back to be able to do an issue that was.
Sorry, Michael, you're just kind of freezing there a little bit. So we're kind of getting an
We
intermittent.
sort of left it there.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a mind read. I'm guessing that you did a timeline. You didn't go back to what you thought might have been the very first session of the very first event. And instead what happened is your client went somewhere in the middle there, but you still got a result. Was that what happened?
I'm sorry, I've missed all that.
Let's start. War and Peace, page 1.
My internet is down, so I'm on hotspot.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me do it intermittently, and then maybe you can get it. Okay, Michael, what you need to do. Oh, so the client went back to a time, but you got a sense that they didn't go back to the very first time.
Correct.
And
then, yeah, and then something else was suggested. I said, well, let's deal with that. We went back only a little bit more, and again, I got the same impression. But what we gleaned from it was there were a few lessons that had to be reminded of, and then we went for the big one. And so I think that was turning out right. But at that point, the shutters come up, and it was too tired and too scared, and we'll leave it for another day. But
right.
It was a really peculiar thing, and it was very awkward. I'm just wondering what you might think.
Okay. If a client doesn't go back to the very first event, something that you can do is tonal marking. Like go, I want you to go back to the very first event, and emphasize the very first event. Now, sometimes what will happen is a person will close their eyes. We've got no control over that. Person might close their eyes, or in the pre-frame might say 27. I was an adult this life. And as a result of that, you get a sense that might not have been it. So just go with that. Just go with them at 27. Do the work around 27. And as they're going through and you're getting them to rise up above that event at 27, what you can do is go, was there anything even earlier than that? Was there anything even earlier than that? Because sometimes a person won't be relieved of the problem if they don't get to that very core event, that very first event. It's a little bit like what I showed you in the PowerPoint with the little balls. Like, there was a little ball first event, then got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, if we don't get to that first event, that often is the core, the very core of their belief system, the very core of the pain and the source of it. So sometimes a person could come out of a timeline and they don't get the value or the full effect of it, and they still might have the problem. And so then what we do is we get them back again. Now, a good way to think about this is sometimes some people are not ready to do the big, deep change work too quickly. I've got some clients who, we've had 5 or 6 sessions, and we're now only just starting to get to the emotional stuff. because the first 5 or 6 sessions were all strategy and how will I achieve this and what will I do and all of that sort of stuff. And some of my clients, I find, or some people, will hide behind the strategies and all of those sorts of things. For example, actually, classic example, today I've got a client who's a bit of a AFL superstar. Now, this guy finally comes out today and says, I feel like I'm a fake. I feel like I'm a fraud. And I go, awesome. You know, we can finally get to do some really big stuff, because all the rest of it's been very strategic and how do I do this? How do I get that result? All that sort of stuff. And we finally get to this, and it was a big thing for him to say. I mean, all of who he is, he's been a footballer for most of his life. So all he is all wrapped up in these premiership wins and all those sorts of things and medals and da-da-da. But for him to actually get to this point, I thought, yay, fantastic. That shows how powerful and brave you really, truly are. And we got to it, and he was very confused at the end of the session because it was quite emotional, but he was hiding it really well. You know, and he was really trying not to show too much emotion, but I could see it lifted and it shifted. So some clients will not be ready to launch into a timeline first session. You know, maybe we've got to build a bit more rapport with them. Maybe we've got to build a bit more trust, you know, along that sort of line. And then we can get into the real nitty gritty, the big stuff.
Thank you.
Does that help, Michael? Does that answer? Yeah.
Perfect. All of it. Yep. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the other thing to also consider is be kind to yourself, you know, when you're working with people. You know, if you don't always get there, I don't always get there. You know, I don't think just because when I do demonstrations, you know, we always get a good result. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes you'll find that you'll have a session and you'll be sitting there scratching your head going, I don't know whether I did anything in that bloody session. You know, or I don't think I really got to the core of it, or I don't think I really got to actually shift them. You know, so sometimes it is a case of building trust and, you know, be patient with them, but equally be kind to yourself. Cool. Great questions for around this level of the actual training. So I think we're only up to module 14 or something. So that's cool. So any other questions that you may have? Any questions about anything? Yeah, Hazza.
Actually, just based off what you just said. So if you get to the end of a session with someone and you kind of get that feeling that they haven't quite got anything out of it, or what would you do or say, do you think? Like, how would you frame it or suggest, what would you suggest?
Well, the way that typically I would frame it is, you know, there's a part of sometimes they feel bad. You know, they feel like they're weirdly doing it for you, which of course they're not. But sometimes they can feel bad and they can feel, oh, geez, I made it really hard for you, or, you know, I didn't allow you to get there, that sort of stuff. What I like to do is I like to ease everything off and just go, look, it's okay. You know, it's really okay, because they'll be looking to you for the judger or the critic, or, you know, you've been doing this for so long, so you certainly know. And they might be thinking to themselves, oh my God, I must be really screwed up. You know, so there could be elements of that. So what you really want to do is make it easy for them. Just go, look, it's okay. You know, we're like onions, according to Shrek. You know, and, you know, what we're doing is we're just getting rid of layers and layers. And sometimes it takes a while until we get to the really good stuff, the big stuff. But just trust yourself, trust the process, let it all work, and it's fine. Yeah. You know, it's a little bit like we do this all the time, not just in therapy, but I had a person who I interviewed on my radio show last night. And this person, you know, has attempted suicide twice, has been in a psychiatric hospital, you know, 3 times. and she's on the call, and I'm interviewing her live on radio, and all of a sudden the call cuts out, and I go, okay, it is what it is. We'll just jump to a song and I'll get her back on. So I call her back. Of course, I get her message bank, and I think, oh, it's possibly her battery or whatever. Try again. She gets on. She's freaking out. And I go, look, don't worry about it. It happens. Just but I forgot what I was saying. Should I go back? And I said, no, we'll move on from that. I'll ask you another question and we'll almost start from a clean slate. But some people really freak out. That's their pattern. If something doesn't go according to plan or expected. And a lot of the time, it's just this ridiculous idea we have about if we don't do it right, oh my God, we're going to be judged. We're going to, there's hell and brimstone and, God knows what. But sometimes what we've got to do is just take all that tension and pressure off. And if we end a session and we don't really get there, we know we did the best we could. I would hope to think our client too would know they did the best they could. And together we did the best we could. Now, maybe the conditions weren't perfect for getting them to ultimately where they needed to go. And that's why I suggest don't ever just do one session. Have a group of sessions so you can always fix what didn't happen in the last session in the next one. And then just keep working at it. I remember I was working with an alcoholic at one point, and oh my God, it was like none of my tricks were working. Nothing was working. And I was thinking, how do I help this guy? And he just kept coming session after session. And I said to him, you do know you've got to stop for a while. Don't think you can just have, one bottle of vodka and you'll be fine. You got to stop for a while. And he'd come back to the next session. I'd say, so how did you go? I went to lunch and I had a beer. But he was kind of like, oh my God, nothing's working. I had a beer. But this guy was going from bottles of vodka, bottles of wine, 2 a night at least, drinking during lunch and, probably half cut for most of his day and night. And he went to 1 glass of beer. And you go, hey, that is a significant difference from where you've come from. So, sometimes it takes a while with some people to really get them ultimately to where they need to be. And all we've got to have is patience. Patience and tolerance and empathy. And please, whatever you do, don't start paying out on your clients if you don't get there either. That's really bad. Of course, you want to make them feel as good as possible. Just go, hey, you're moving. Just making this appointment was fantastic. It's a real great starting point. At least you're focusing on it. Whatever you focus on is going to expand. Whatever you're focusing on you're going to get there. Have faith.
Yeah.
So I really didn't give you a script, but I gave you a sense.
Yeah, definitely got a sense. Yeah.
So you'll put it in your words and make them feel as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
When you coach people, I don't know what it is, but you do get very close. You know a lot about them. They know a lot about you. And for example, my footballer client today, I said to him, fantastic, you can say this shit to me. You can be anything you want to be. You can tell me the most crappiest times of your life, and it's going to go nowhere but here. So go for it. Tell me all your shit. Let's get the shit out, and have a verbal enema. And so bad pictures, very hard to get that out of your head, I know. But the thing is, you've got that full permission.
Yeah. Totally hear it, feel it, get it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And all the practice is really going to help you too.
Yeah.
You know, just keep practicing these techniques with one another. And by the way, for those of you that are practicing together, can you already get a sense there's a bond forming? You know, you coming together regularly, working with one another, there's a bond forming, you know, which is fantastic. So, you know, these guys are your buddies, you know, work with your buddies. And, you know, they're going to have your best interests at heart. Cool. These are really good questions. These are absolutely fantastic. I usually get these sorts of questions much further into the training. So I can't wait for much further into the training to see what sort of questions I get. So any other questions that you have? When are you going to start the hypnosis module? Hey, how about now? Okay, cool. I will start the module on hypnosis. So every time I look at my screen, I think to myself, dude, you have far too many things open on your computer. So let me just get rid of some of these things. I need that. And because I've got to show you a video. Oh, by the way, this is totally off topic, but it made my day, and I've just got to show it to you. I'm just going to show you my screen. Oh, sorry. What I've got to do is I've also got to, when I share my screen, I've got to click the little button so that you can actually hear. Okay, so share sound. So this is a school kid. Can everyone see this little kid with a guitar and a little girl on drums? Check this out.
Hey, mama said the way you move gon' make you sweat, gon' make you groove. Oh, baby, when you walk away, what you want it trip can't keep away.
Amazing, huh? Sorry, one of the guys that I jam with sent this through, and he said, "Have a look at this kid." So cool, so cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into here, and here is, let's see, module 14. We are up to. And today I'm going to introduce you into hypnosis. This will be the very first time we do it. It won't be the last. And I'm also going to introduce you into Milton Erickson's conversational hypnosis, which is a specific style of hypnosis. And it's fantastic in that you can just talk and help people to get results as a result of just speaking. So I'm also going to show you a bit about how hypnosis actually works and why some people fear it, because there are certainly some people who fear hypnosis. And you're going to learn some tips to help people to go into trance, to make it easier for people to actually go into trance and experience it. So we've done our Q's and A's. Now, the question that I asked you before we go deep into hypnosis, I asked, what is one value, one word that will improve your life? So we're going to have a conversation around this at the end. So, of course, you'll remind me so we never forget, and we will absolutely remember. And at the very end, I want to know what your word is and why that is your word. So what is your focus word for 2022? So hypnosis is really a powerful set of principles and also phrases and words for change. So I want you to take a notice right now. Just notice how you are feeling and what you are thinking to yourself. Just notice. You don't have to share with anybody, but I want you to just notice how you are feeling right now. And what are you thinking to yourself? Is there a sentence, a phrase that is going through your head, a question, a statement? just think about what you are feeling and what you are saying to yourself. And if you want to remember it, perhaps write it down on a piece of paper in front of you. So it will be what you are feeling right now. You know, give it a word or a phrase. And the second question is, what are you thinking to yourself right now? So go ahead and just write that down, just so you can remember it. So I'm going to share a little story. When I was a child, I knew I was different. I just did. I thought different. I felt different. I sounded different than all the other kids in the school. I thought it was due to my German heritage. I went to Germany and discovered that I was different from them too. They looked different and sounded different from me. Even my cousin Susie, of the same age, seemed different. We spoke about different things. We cared for different things. Difference was my curse. As the years rolled by, my difference turned to indifference because I saw the world differently than most. I rebelled against anything that was the same. Finally, I realized there were others who thought differently. So I wasn't that different after all. I had friends, allies. One of them even named me in a photograph. It was then that I realized that I was different. I was a teacher. I could teach people how to think differently. Today I know that my curse is actually my crown. My difference is my distinction. Our differences make us unreal, unique. They make you, you. Soon my father passed away. He was different. I met my wife. She was different. We had our first child. She is different. We are all different for different reasons. You must celebrate your differences. Do something different. How are you feeling now, and what are you thinking to yourself? So, Dave is having a good old laugh. So tell me, how are you thinking now? Is it different to how you were thinking in the beginning and how you were feeling in the beginning? So who would like to share? Now there's a lot of processing energy going on. I can see everyone. Okay, Sally and then Hazal.
it really came strongly across to me that I'm okay being different.
Yeah.
And I think I've always sort of fought against being different. But it's okay.
Yeah. So all of a sudden you have permission to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of trying to be the same and working your ass off to try to just be like everybody else, you actually have permission to be different.
Yeah, it's really freeing.
Yeah. Because they say that we are as unique as our thumbprint. And you are definitely that. Did that cause you to feel quite different to how you were feeling in the beginning?
I think the thing that was crossing my mind was, oh, I can't be hypnotised.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was one thing that was sort of playing on my mind.
Okay. Well, there you go. You've just proved that you can be hypnotized because you're thinking different now as a result.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
But it didn't feel like hypnosis, did it?
No.
But
No,
it was.
just like suggestion.
Exactly. Exactly. Can we give Sally a huge round of applause for being different? Excellent. Good job. Cool. Hazal.
Yeah, I felt calmer afterwards. And it's funny you use the word permission because that's what I just wrote down. Yeah, permission to be different. Yeah, I think I find it quite difficult. It's like I'm kind of searching for my way, like the path that I'm going to carve, you know, and how am I going to do that? And what's the strategy going to be? And it's so much work. But if there's just permission to be my own expression, then just do that. There's no need to really think about it.
Absolutely. And it's liberating, it's freeing, and you now have absolute full permission just to be you. You know, you don't have to be compared to anybody. In fact, the moment you're compared to anybody, it should just highlight your differences.
Yeah.
You know, and give you full permission to embrace those differences. Very cool.
Very cool.
Can we give Hazal a huge round of applause? Good job. Excellent. Cool. We got Lisa's hand up there. Lisa, do you want to share?
Yep. I was just going to say that I feel like we all feel like we're different, but we're all the same in that we all feel that we're different, but at the same time, we're all the same.
Yes.
We want the same things. We feel the same things. We feel unique because we are unique, but we're the same.
Absolutely.
That makes any sense?
It does. It does. And, you know, it is true. We are different, but we're all the same. Absolutely. Can we give Lisa a huge round of applause? Good job. Excellent. So the thing is that what we get a sense of is just simply what we did is we kind of took hypnosis, but we used it, put it almost into a metaphor. It wasn't exactly a story. There was a bit of a story to it. But all we did is we just kept pointing out the differences. So that was the theme. Differences was essentially the theme. And, you know, it started off with being a curse and then it moved to being a crown. So that's essentially what we did with it as a theme. And it was plastered with hypnotic language all through it. And today my aim is to introduce you to hypnotic phrases and allow you to understand what hypnotic phrases are, what they sound like, and how you can use them in your day-to-day. Now, this is not exclusive for just using it in coaching. You can actually use this in everyday life. Like you can use this in conversations. You can use this in meetings. You can use this as often as you like to get an incredible outcome. And it starts to get hugely powerful. Once you understand the language and the frames and the structure, you will start hearing it everywhere. You will hear it in advertising. You will hear it in those NLP masters that essentially use it from a stage, on television, in ads, in all sorts of areas. You will see it all over the place and you will hear it. So what I'm going to do, thank you very much for everyone who shared there. So I'm now going to take this a little bit further now. So I'm introducing you. Sorry, Lisa, was that another question or is that still the other hand that was up there before? Oh, that's not a question. Okay, cool.
My cat jumped on me. Now I've got cat hair all over me. Annoying.
Your cat is different. Cool. So hypnosis is often quite misunderstood. In some cases, hypnosis, some believe that it is the work of the devil. And something that you've got to be very, very careful of, particularly in spaces and places that are highly religious in their base understanding of how the world works. There are some religions that if you say that you are using hypnosis, they will associate you with the work of the devil. I had only this week, I had a lady who was very interested in joining our next NLP practitioner training in March until someone said to her, it's witchcraft. It's witchcraft. And I, of course, said, where did you discover that? Where's the factual evidence that suggests that it's witchcraft or anything like it? And of course, she couldn't find anything. But some people do believe that hypnosis is the work of the devil. Equally, some believe that it's actually fraudulent, that it doesn't work, it doesn't exist, and it's just bunkum. There are others that believe that it's just plain nonsense. Don't even take me there. Hypnosis is just BS. It's just absolute nonsense. So these are some things that you have to understand, when you start talking to people about things like hypnosis. Fact. In front of the TV, we go into trance in 7 seconds usually. So within 7 seconds of sitting in front of a television, we go into trance. Now, that's quite problematic, depending upon what you watch. If you watch a lot of current affair, a lot of news, you are going to trance yourself into becoming a very negative person. Negative people do not realize how hypnotized they are. Equally positive people can be just as hypnotized, but I know which one I would prefer to be. So the thing about hypnosis is I believe that hypnosis helps us to believe what we want to believe. And it creates a framework for us to be able to believe the things that we truly, truly want to, within our hearts, embrace. So when we start looking at images like this, of course, this is quite symbolic of, that spinning wheel of going into trance. And a lot of it, its misnomer really came from the Greek god of sleep, which was called Hypnos. And Hypnos was what they named hypnosis from in the very beginning when its language was being formed. And the reason that they called it Hypnos after the Greek god of sleep is it looked like people were falling asleep when they were going under trance. Now, but in other words, what was actually happening is their eyes were closed, because it's easier to go into wonderful hypnosis with your eyes closed. But equally, what often happens is our necks often start to get tired as we do. And what happens is we drop our heads, which that looks like sleep. But just because a person's got their eyes closed and their head is bowed, it does not mean they're asleep. In fact, I find hypnosis a state where I can get things even more than when I'm fully conscious. I can hear things better when I'm in a state of trance than I am when I'm out of a state of trance. So this is why I believe that they got hypnosis wrong. The second reason is also they started to believe that people used hypnosis for their own gain and to manipulate other people, such as we see this little lady, you know, she looks like she's cutting up a steak, and the little dog with the watch in the background is going, "You're full. You're very full. Too full to finish that steak. Very, very full." Now, if the author of this little cartoon truly understood hypnosis, they would not say this at all, because this would actually work in the opposite. Because what we're saying is saying you're full, you're very full. Yeah, cool, that could work. But we're also saying finish that steak, finish that steak, finish that steak. We wouldn't put wording in that way if we were actually using hypnosis to stop a person eating. But it's this idea that people think that hypnosis has ill intent. You know, that you are out of control. In fact, in truth, in hypnosis, you actually become more in control rather than less in control. So, what is hypnosis really? What does it actually do? Well, what we see here are two circles. They're actually two examples, two metaphors of the brain. So what we've got, the thing that separates what we believe and what we don't believe, is a thing called the critical faculty. Now, the critical faculty, there isn't a block in your brain that is inscribed critical faculty. This is, of course, a metaphor. But what it's a metaphor for is that there are two parts of our brain. There is essentially the conscious part of us, and there is the unconscious part of us. What we do know, if we can get ideas into the unconscious part of us, we can actually change behavior. So the critical faculty is our BS meter. Yes, our belief system meter, or otherwise known as our bullshit meter. Anything that we say, like if I say to you right now, you are a dog, you are a happy little dog, or you are a kitten, you are a happy little kitten, you are going to say BS. I am not a dog, I am not a little kitten, I am a human being. That is your conscious mind repelling those ideas from going into the unconscious. So in other words, what happens is it stops ideas from going into the unconscious. And that's called the normal state. But when we get into the trance state, our critical faculty goes a bit porous, and ideas can actually bypass our consciousness. That's why metaphors are so powerful. Because when we tell a story, we're not fighting the story, going, but yes, that's crap. That's not true. Usually when we hear a story, we go, I'll suspend belief. Let it come in. So hypnosis equally can create that opportunity where ideas and concepts can get past the critical faculty. So that is essentially why hypnosis is such a good tool, because sometimes we can tell a person they're amazing until the cows come home. But if we do not get into the unconscious with those ideas, we're not going to get any change. We're not going to get any self-esteem boosts. So that's why we do hypnosis. We want to create a trance state. We want to sneak past the critical faculty. Let me give you a hypnotic technique. I am going to count from 100 on down. So the first number is 100. The second number is 99. The third number is 98. So I'm just going to keep counting down. 97, 96, 95, 94. Your conscious mind right now is going, I know what's coming up next. You watch. He's going to say 93, 93. And you know what's going to happen next? 92, 92. You watch. Absolute 91, 91. See, told you. I know what's happening. Now he's going to go to 90, 90. This is so friggin' boring because I know what's coming next. 89. That's right. 88. So that technique, what that does is that bores the crap out of the conscious mind. And the conscious mind says, you just keep counting. I'm just going to go off somewhere else. And so that's why that counting backwards 100 on down is so effective, because it takes the conscious mind out of the equation. The conscious mind just says, I'm just going to have a little sleep for a moment. I'm just going to take it easy for a moment. So that's the intent of hypnosis. So what we can also do is, the first thing that we have to realize with hypnosis is that people can have their defenses up. So we can come out with 3 very cleverly worded hypnotic phrases, and we call these a trance pre-frame. So before we take someone under hypnosis, we say 3 things. The first thing we say is, don't expect to feel hypnotized. You go, what? Seriously? Yeah, don't expect to feel hypnotized. Okay, cool. So it lets a person completely off the hook, but it's a very clever sentence. In a moment, I'm going to say something that I don't want you to allow in your brain. Don't even see a picture of it. Don't even get it at all. What I'm going to say is pink dinosaur. So do not get a pink dinosaur in your brain. Don't even let yourself see a pink dinosaur in your imagination. You know, and I'm not exactly sure what color pink you've created this dinosaur as, but please don't. Please don't. So that's called a negation. Now, what a negation does, don't, can't, won't, will not, these are negations. But the brain deletes negations. The only way that you can get a blue tree when I tell you to create a blue tree is you create a green one first and then you paint it blue with your imagination. But if I say don't create a blue tree, well, you had to create a tree to delete it. So don't expect to feel hypnotized. What you're actually saying to the person is expect to feel hypnotized. But the don't takes their resistance away. They go, oh, okay, cool. Okay, I won't expect to feel hypnotized. Now, even if they say it in their head, I won't expect to feel hypnotized. I won't expect to feel hypnotized. What they're actually saying is expect to feel hypnotized over and over in their brain. The next sentence is equally as clever. Don't expect to feel relaxed. You know, don't even expect to feel relaxed. But if I say the word relaxed, I have to know that word. It has to pass my tongue. I have to get my lips in the right shape in order to say relaxed. Now, as I say relaxed, there is a part of my brain that has images, ideas, concepts that all relate to being relaxed. So just saying the word relaxed fires off relax memories in my imagination and also my past through my history. So when you say don't expect to feel relaxed, they're already starting to feel relaxed. But again, it gets rid of resistance. Now, this next one is not a negation, but it overcomes a big fear that people have about hypnosis. You will be in total control the entire time. So they're just 3 sentences before you take a client for the very first time through hypnosis that you do. You say, look, don't expect to feel hypnotized. Don't even expect to feel relaxed, but you will be in control the entire time. Those 3 sentences create permission. Those 3 sentences help to pre-frame the expectation, and therefore it changes and alters the expectation. So that's called a trance pre-frame. These are in your manual too, by the way. So what you then do in the context of hypnosis is you can create suggestibility tests. Anything that presupposes trance is trance. Anything that presupposes trance is trance. So I'm going to show you 3 tests. They are postural sway, book and balloon, and finger vice. So these 3 tests are tests that we do to see how easy people will go into trance. So anything that presupposes trance is trance. So these tests, we're going to get volunteers. In fact, we're going to get you all to volunteer. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to get you to do. So what we're going to do is, this is book and balloon. So what they do is they imagine in one hand there's a book, and in the other hand there is a balloon. And you get them to close their eyes and imagine there's a book in one hand and a balloon in the other. But in my view, these guys are doing book and balloon a little wrong. I'll give you some tweaks to make book and balloon work really, really well. But if I was going to do hypnotic work with any of these people, who would you do hypnotic work with first? Lady 1, Lady 2, Lady 3, man 4. Who would you do hypnotic work with? Who's going to be the most suggestible?
4.
This one here, 4. Yep. He is going to be highly suggestible because his hands are way away. This lady here, she's not only going to be highly suggestible, she's going to be a heap of fun to work with. Because she looks like she's got such a great attitude. So is this lady. She's got a bit more resistance though. This woman, I think I'd have to work a lot more with her in the beginning to get her more willing to be suggestible. So this is called book and balloon. We're going to demonstrate this in a moment. I'll show you all 3. So the next is thing called postural sway. Now, what we have here is we've got the gentleman has his hands here. He also, what you can't see is another hand behind him. The gentleman has got his eyes closed, and this man is now talking to him, and this gentleman will go backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Now, just a little tip. When you are working with women, this hand needs to move down. It needs to move around the tummy area for obvious reasons. So that's called postural sway. So they will sway and they'll go forwards and back. This one is called finger vice. And in finger vice, what you do is you put your fingers together and then you open them up, and then you imagine a little vice and your fingers close. So this is called finger vice. So what I'm going to get you all to do is to all volunteer. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, firstly, the very first test, book and balloon, we can all do together. So what I'm going to get you to do book and balloon is you will put your hands out like that. And then in one hand, you will put a balloon. You'll be holding onto a balloon. And in the other hand, you will be holding onto a book. So you have to place your hands palm up, and then one will have a balloon, one will have a book, and go ahead and close your eyes. So get yourself into position and go ahead and close your eyes. So what I'm going to do, in one hand, I want you to place a balloon. So make a fist and hold on to that balloon. So now what I want you to do, as you hold onto the string of the balloon, feel the string. In fact, you notice that it's pretty thick. It's actually a rope. The reason it's a rope is this is not an ordinary balloon. This is one of those balloons that have a basket underneath. And when they release those sandbags, that balloon is going to pull very strongly one hand. That's right, very strongly. The sandbags are now being released, and you can begin to feel the pull of the balloon. That's right, it's very strong. Now, in the other hand, someone has put some books. These are not ordinary books. You remember the yellow pages that we used to have? These are the New York yellow pages. These are so many books, and they are heavy, very heavy. In fact, they are so heavy that there is an elephant rearing up, backing up to you, and that elephant is going to put its bum on those books, and you're going to feel in a moment the elephant starting to put pressure on the books. That's right, you can really feel the books. So go ahead now and open your eyes and have a look to see how suggestible you are, and have a look at everyone else. Cool. So what you're getting a sense of is that is called book and balloon. The only reason that that works is because you are highly suggestible. So there are a couple of tricks. Let me explain the tricks. So your hands are like this, and then you say, make a fist. So you make a fist, and the moment you do, you are already over the top of that hand. So even though your eyes are closed, your body is going to feel like they're already apart. Now, the rest of the suggestibility is where it starts to work. You know, a lot of you started moving fairly quickly as the balloon started pulling up. And then the New York yellow pages brought the other hand right down. So that's just a little master's trick to make it work even better. But even if your hands were just flat out like that, it still would work. But just sometimes the little master's tricks here and there sometimes make them work much, much better. Now, the thing that we can't do is we can't do postural sway because we're not in a physical presence of each other. And to do postural sway, you might all fall down. And I don't want to do that. That's why you have your hands like that, to stop a person from falling backwards and falling down. And you really do need two people to do this physically for that to happen. But the thing that you do with postural sway, if I can just give it to you in verbally so you understand it, of course, you can always go back to this recording. The thing about postural sway is what you do is you put your hands apart, you put a person in the middle. Now you saw that the hypnotherapist in that picture had the guy looking straight out like that. Well, over the years, I've made many chiropractor friends, and chiropractors know that our eyes want to be absolutely horizontal all the time. In fact, if our necks are like that, what we will do is we will try to go completely like that. But if our shoulders are out, our head will adjust to make sure we're horizontal all the time. So that's a really interesting physical clue. What you can do is get a person to close their eyes and lift their head up like that, which will completely change the horizon line. And a person will often start to sway backwards when they do that. Or sometimes they can go forwards. Usually they'll go backwards, but sometimes they'll even go forwards. So what you do is you just watch the person, and wherever they're going, you just say, if they're starting to go backwards, you go back. And of course, where are they going to go after they go back? They're going to go forwards. So you go, wait till they just start to shift and go forwards, back, forwards, back, forwards, back, forwards. You are so suggestible, man. You know, and that's how you finish it off. So that's what you do with postural sway, but you have to have your hands there so that they don't fall backwards, because some people will in fact fall backwards, and you don't want your clients to hurt themselves. So that's postural sway. But what we're all going to do now is we're going to do finger vice. So finger vice, basically to do it, actually, before I go any further, does anyone have any questions about the first two? Any questions about postural sway, finger vice? Book and balloon. No questions? Okay, cool. Yep, Parvesh.
Sorry, the postural sway. So once you have a person in that kind of a trance,
yeah,
what does that? Do you follow on with the suggestibility?
Yeah.
Is that the reason for getting them into that?
No, the purpose of it is to help a person to realize that they can go into trance easily.
All right. Okay.
That's the whole intent and purpose of doing these exercises. Typically, you might do one.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might do two if they've got a bit of a cynical person.
All right.
You know, very few will do three, and very few will do even more than that. These are just three. There's lots of different techniques that you can do to help a person to go into trance. So that's the intent and that's the purpose. So another one is called finger vice. It's a very simple process. You bring your hands together and you put your fingers together like that. So clasp your fingers together like that. And now put your fingers together. Now aim to get rid of any gaps. So if you can see through your fingers, you've got a big gap there. So put your fingers together and put them really tight. So put them together very, very tightly. And now what I want you to do is double that pressure. So double it. Whatever pressure you're putting on your fingers, double it. And keep it even, because you don't want to break any fingers. And keep the pressure even and keep it very strong. So basically, in a moment, not now, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to point your fingers, to the screen like that. And in a moment, not now, I'm going to ask you to open up your fingers, and then I'm going to put an imaginary vice on your fingers, and you will open your fingers, and then your fingers will automatically close. So whenever you're ready, bring your fingers right up to the screen so everyone can see your fingers. Okay, and now double the pressure again. Double the pressure again. Put a lot of pressure on those fingers. And feel the pressure on your fingers. And then open your fingers now. And open your fingers now. And close, 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 close. That's right. Yep, Stephanie's closed, Damien's closed, Rory's closed, Sonia's just a smidge open, Parvesh is closed, Hazal is closed, Sally, I can't see yours. They're closed. Vicky is closed, I think, and almost went the other way. And Lisa's, yes, is closed. Cristiano's is closed. So is Pauline's, so is Michael's, and so is Sonia's now. Excellent. Give yourselves a round of applause. Excellent. Good job. Now, let's have a bit of a conversation. How did you feel about finger vice? What did that feel like to you? What did that make you conclude? What did that make you think? You're talking, Michael, but you're still muted.
When you said to open them, after I'd gone to the effort of closing them and pointing at the screen, I didn't want to open them.
You didn't want to open them?
No, I just wanted to keep it there.
Okay, so you wanted to keep them closed. Okay, cool, awesome. So anyone else had something different to that?
When you said that put it back, the fingers felt like magnetism between the fingers.
Yeah, they just felt like they automatically wanted to come together, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Was anyone curious about that? Why? Why did your fingers want to come together just like that? No? No one really curious? You know, what the? Yep, Dave. Yep, you're talking, but
I just want to know why, because I didn't like it, actually.
You didn't like it?
No, but I want to know why the hell, like.
Did my fingers just go come together like that? Okay, there's a few things that happen. Auto-suggestion is certainly very powerful, but there's a few physical things that you're doing as well. What you're doing is you're putting your fingers together like that, and you're putting a lot of pressure on them, meaning that your fingers are going to fatigue after a period of time. When fingers are fatigued and when you separate them like that, they are more likely to come back together like that, because that actually becomes resting point. So that's why your fingers are more likely to come back like that. But just simply going close, 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 you could see people's fingers were almost coming together at every close, 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 and then they'll close. Now, the thing that we have to understand is we need to use our observational skills. If we have a client that is doing this, we have a problem. We've got someone who is working hard against everything we're doing. So that's why some of the pre-frames are really important, because some people think, oh my God, I must be so stupid. I must be so suggestible. And they see it as a negative. But if you pre-frame that actually suggestibility is awesome, the more suggestible you are, the quicker we are going to be able to help you to become the person you want to be. So for example, I am hugely suggestible, and I love that I'm hugely suggestible, because when my coach works with me and I go through a process, I'm not resisting like hell. I want the outcome, and I will do whatever I can to help the outcome. But in the early days, I was an asshole of a client, particularly when I learned NLP and I knew what my coach was doing. And I had to get a better coach and a better coach and a better coach, because I could work them all out, and there is something really good about not working out the magic sometimes, but these and the purpose, and as Parvesh rightly questioned, what was the intent? The intent is to help your clients to go into trance more easily. The more easily they can go into trance, the more suggestible they are, the more things you can tell them, and the more that they'll take on, the more things will go beyond the critical faculty and go into their unconscious. Because everything you are is everything that you have let go beyond the unconscious, beyond the critical faculty and into the unconscious. So that's why hypnosis is hugely, hugely potent and hugely powerful. Now, in a moment, not now, you're going to probably find yourself getting to a point where you start feeling, in fact, a bit confused. And that's a good thing, because confusion, if you think about it, always precedes knowledge. Because every time you were taught something new from the very first outset, you were probably confused. You probably didn't know exactly what was being taught or told, and you were confused. But because you have an amazing brain and because you really want to advance yourself, you know the confusion only lasts for a short period of time. And beyond confusion, you will get an aha. And when you get an aha, you get a whole new paradigm of insights and understandings. And yes, I'm using hypnosis right now. This is called conversational hypnosis. How potent is this? Well, let me give you an idea of this. Did you know that, I mean, Cristiano, you'll work in gyms, yeah?
Yeah.
And you'll be working with people in a gym that other people will be able to hear what you're saying, yes?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had a tool that what you could say, in a moment, not now, I'm going to show you an exercise. And this particular exercise will really resonate with you. In fact, you'll find that you love this exercise so much that you will come to want to do this exercise with regularity. And you will look at your body in 6 months' time and you will think to yourself, I never imagined I would have a body like this. And that's the body that you're going to get. In fact, you'll find that at first, this exercise will create very small pain for very major gain. And you'll find that at first it feels a bit tight and it might even feel a little bit crippling, but you will be liberated beyond your wildest dreams. And one day you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to think, there is the hottest guy on the planet, or the hottest girl on the planet. And if you said that and they believed you, then you would find that it would be so easy to get people to do the routines that you're suggesting and do the repetitions you're asking and get beyond their pain thresholds and into incredible lands, spaces and places where they see themselves in ways that they never imagined they could ever see themselves. Now, I'm guessing that most of you can hear the hypnosis, yeah? Who can hear the hypnosis? Yeah, cool. So these are the sorts of conversational hypnosis that you can use easily, effortlessly, and you'll be confused at first. But when you get to the aha moment, you'll start realizing you have incredible powers in your hands. And yes, I'm doing it again. So hypnosis can be so powerful. Many of my clients don't even know that I'm working with them when we're having a bit of a pre-chat before coaching. They don't even know that I'm helping them to get the outcomes that they're ultimately going to get by the end of the session because I'm pre-framing it. They think we're just having a chat. And that's okay because there's no resistance in a chat. So let me now give you some of the tools, insights, so you can take this to a whole different level. So this is called conversational hypnosis. And I really do believe that a story holds the power to change your mind and therefore your life. So this is the man that we are working from. His name is Milton Erickson. And he said that anything is possible in the context of rapport. And Milton Erickson had a strange way of talking. In fact, some people say that he almost mumbles. So what I'm going to do is we're going to hear from Milton Erickson. So I'm just going to stop share for a moment. I'm going to go to a video. And this particular video is Milton Erickson himself. So you will hear him basically talking. And so I want you to listen to how he speaks and what he's doing. So here we go. Can everyone hear the sound by raising their hand? Yep, cool.
Now let's go to some happy thing when you are 10 years old. Something you forgot a long time ago. Tell me about it.
I caught my first fish.
How big was the fish?
It's a little sunfish.
Little sunfish. Why didn't you show me how big the sunfish was? Something strange, isn't there, about you right now? I can do this.
I feel very unattached to the rest of my body.
You're unattached to your body. In other words, would you like to see your adult body sitting in that chair over there? And your unconscious mind over here, but your body is over there? Tell me the position in which you're sitting.
My feet are on the floor.
What's that?
My feet are on the floor.
Your feet are on the floor, yes.
My toes are turned in.
Now I'd like
I'm leaning to the left.
What's that?
I'm leaning to the left.
I'll tell you something else. Yes?
My hand is still up.
Your hand's down. And now you know you can't put it down. The only way you can put it down is if the right hand moves up at the same speed the left hand moves down. Oh, you can try harder than that. Harder. I want some action.
Too lazy.
What's that?
I think I'm too lazy.
You think you're too lazy?
I'm comfortable.
You're comfortable. Very comfortable.
Yes.
That's the way it's nice to be now, in the future. At the present time, even though you can't move your hands, except in a certain way, you can feel comfortable, can you not? And you could feel comfortable in a crowd. And I'd like to tell you something. Everybody is like his fingerprints. They're one of a kind. And there will be another like you. And you need to enjoy always being you. And you can't change it. Just as fingerprints can't be changed. And I want you to have that same secure feeling that you had when you're splashing the water, when you caught your sunfish, That same secure feeling that you have even now when you can't move your hands except in the way I defined. And you can feel comfortable anytime you wish.
So that was Milton Erickson, and it gives you a sense of some of his hypnotic styles. Some of his hypnotic styles seem very unorthodox, but oh my God, did he get results? And I'm going to share a quick story about something that Milton Erickson did with a couple who were arguing. He asked the two of them to fly down to come and see him in his clinic. And he was based in America. And the place will come to me in a moment. But what happened was the two people, the couple, flew down. And on the very first day, he spoke to them and found out a lot about what was going on in their lives. And he said, tomorrow, I want to set a task for you. And he said to the man, he said, I want you to climb Score Peak. So the man said, and? He said, just climb Score Peak. That's what I want you to do. He said to the lady, he said, I want you to go to the botanical gardens. And she said, and what am I to do there? He said, you'll know when you get there. And the following day they came back, they went, and then they came back the day after. And then he said, how did you go? The lady said, I have never been in any sort of therapy that has been as ridiculous as this. I just thought that it was stupid to go to the botanical gardens. Spend all day at the botanical gardens was a waste of time in my view. And he said to the gentleman, so tell me about your experience climbing Score Peak. And he said, look, I've got to be honest, I'm not really a hiker and, I don't normally do those sorts of things, but I thought, well, I'll do it. And he said, so I climbed and I climbed and I climbed and I climbed. And finally I got to the top, Score Peak. And even though I was looking out at a desert, I began to realize that there was some incredible value. Visually, just kind of looking from above at a desert, it was amazing, actually. I sat there for quite some time. So to cut a very long story short, what he then did is he gave each the reverse to do the following day. She had to go to Score Peak, he had to go to Botanical Gardens. And then they came back. And he said, how did you go? She led and she said, it was just as ridiculous as going to the Botanical Gardens. Like I climbed up Score Peak, you never even told me what sort of shoes I should wear. I nearly broke my ankle. And then finally I got to the top just to see a friggin' desert. And then I climbed back down. End of story. This has been ridiculous. He then said to the gentleman, so what was your Botanical Gardens experience like? And he said, I kind of thought about it, to go into a gardens and stay there all day. And so I did a lap. I had a look at all the gardens, went down all the trails, all the tracks, looked at everything. And then I ran out of things to do. So I just started realizing when you get up close, like really close to a lot of flowers and plants, you begin to realize how amazing Mother Nature really, truly is. The art in symmetry and also the art in asymmetry, and I began to realize that maybe I should get into gardening. They're amazing looking at some of those flowers. So anyway, the couple then left Milton Erickson's office and went back home. And he then got a call from the gentleman and he said, Mr. Erickson, I just thought for the courtesy, I thought I'd give you a call and just let you know that the therapy didn't work. we began to realize that we were so different, and we decided to break up. So, you sit back and you think about that and you think, was it unsuccessful? What was the intent of Milton Erickson asking them to do those particular tasks? But certainly what they both discovered was how different they both were. That he was looking for beauty and she was looking for practicality. And no one was wrong. She wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. They were just wrong for one another. And so, what essentially Milton would do was Milton would task. Quite often he would get people to do things. But he was just a master at really working out what people needed. And he knew exactly how to get ideas and concepts into people and had extraordinary success. His greatest success was that he had a lot of apprentices. He had a lot of people he was teaching. I've studied under a few of them. And as a result, I have learned so much about hypnosis, because what you get a sense of is that it's so conversational. And what he does is he puts metaphorical concepts into people's eyes and minds and hearts and brains, and, just by giving you things. Like if you begin to think about it, if you really start to understand that perhaps you were a soul even before you were born. Perhaps there was a thought, and perhaps you are the result of that thought, whatever that thought might have been. And as a result of having that thought, you were born into that body. And you understand, of course, that you are not that body. That body is just a reflection of light. But what you truly are is a soul that sits within that body. And when you have a conversation with that soul, you begin to realize that in truth, inside of you, very deeply, you are good. There is a lot of good in you. There is a lot of heart. There's a lot of care. There's a lot of concern for the world, perhaps. That maybe this soul that you have, maybe it came here for a much bigger reason. Maybe even a much bigger reason than at first you thought. And when you begin to really tap into your reasons for being, maybe it is about making, the one you love feel very special. Maybe your purpose and intent is to support them and help them to maybe reach their goal. Maybe that's your role. Or maybe their role is to support you. Or maybe you're here for a much bigger reason than support. Maybe you're an educator. Maybe there's someone that you're going to work with at some point that's a very amazing soul, a leader, someone who's going to totally change the way the world is. Maybe your purpose is to inspire them or share something with them. Who knows? Our part may be major, it might be minor. Our part might be for the purpose of us being the heroes of our lives, or perhaps to support other heroes. I'm not sure. But of course, it's about putting concepts, ideas within us so that what we get is perhaps a new worldview. And that's what Milton Erickson was so good at. He was very good at helping to change a worldview within a person to be able to see the world in a different way and therefore be different in the world. And what you begin to find is that at some level inside of you, when you get that you are truly a good person, you really, really are. Your job is not to be like everybody else, because if you were to be that, then you would be just like everybody else. But your job is to be you. That's all it's ever been. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody anymore because you're not like everybody else or anybody else for that matter. You can just accept yourself at any point that you choose. And when you choose to accept yourself just as you are, then you can rejoice in the fact that you are just perfect, just the way you are. You really are. I know you have big dreams. I know you want to go places. I know you want to do things, but you can do them. And I know you always want to improve yourself and be the best version of you that you've ever known. You ultimately will. There'll come a time in your life, perhaps the last day of your life, where you'll look back and begin to realize how much good that you actually did. And you'll begin to realize how easy it is to be you. And all of a sudden, the moment you really get that, things begin to change. So let me now go into some of the structure of this, because this can all seem very vague and ambiguous, and half the time you're not exactly sure what I'm saying or doing. But it might cause you to feel different things starting to move through your thoughts, your body, your mind, all come to a different point. But let me give you the structure now. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to start to give you a sense of what we're calling some hypnotic patterns. So the hypnotic patterns that I'm talking about is I'm going to give them a frame. So for example, we're going to talk about a hypnotic pattern called cause and effect. Now, I don't need you to remember these, and I don't need you to remember what a cause and effect or any of these frames actually do. I just want you to get a sense of them. Just get a sense of the sentences and use them. Play with these. So, cause and effect suggests that one thing causes another thing to happen. So, what you can actually do with cause and effect is you can utilize something that is a known and turn it into something that isn't easy to do. So you can say, because your eyes are closed, you're finding it easier to relax. Or because you are blinking, you'll deepen your relaxation. Or as you breathe, you then go deeper and deeper down to relax. Or as you're writing right now, you begin to find that the words just flow out of your pen. That's right. You have been flowing through life very easily because you are sitting there quite comfortable now. So all I'm doing is just choosing something that you're doing and then suggesting, because you're doing that, something else is also happening. So this is called cause and effect. So it's one hypnotic pattern. Because you are sitting there now listening to the sound of my voice, you are wondering about your fullest, greatest potential. Just cause and effect. So here is another, comparative deletions. So you're seemingly comparing one thing to another. Comparative deletion. It seems to be easier now. Now, easier than what? Easier than when? But you leave that out. You delete it. You don't have to talk about what you're comparing to what. You will enjoy it much more. You will enjoy it much more. Milton in that video clip was using a lot of comparative deletions. You're getting more insights. You're getting more and more insights. Compared to when? Compared to what? The deletion is left out. Complex equivalence, where two things are given exactly the same meaning. The fact that you're listening means you're going to make great changes. The fact that you're listening means you're going to make great changes. Because you're here, you feel the benefits easily and effortlessly. Now that you're walking, your circulation is improving with each step. So what it's doing is it's saying you're listening, you're making great changes. You're here, you feel the benefits easily and effortlessly. You're walking, your circulation is improving with each step. Complex equivalence, one thing equals another. Because you're walking, your circulation is improving with each step. In truth, it's not necessarily doing that at all, but because you're saying it is, and should you accept it, then it is. Conversational postulate. A question hides the command. Because you're framing in a question, it sounds like you're asking a question, but you're actually telling someone what to do. Can you read this? What do? You read it. But it's posed in a question. How easily can you do this now? So you're asking them to do this now, but you're putting it into a question. Do you think it's possible to open up your mind just for a moment, or can you keep it open for much longer now? What would happen if you decided to be confident now? What would happen if you decided to be able to feel freer now in your own body? What would your life look like if you chose to be free? Conversational postulate. So the question hides the command. Double bind. Two options that lead to the same outcome. You can relax now or sooner than you like. It kind of suggests you have choice, but in truth you don't. Close your eyes or just relax your eyelids. Either way is fine. You're learning all there is to know, or you already know. Now, by the way, all of these are in your manual, so don't feel that you've got to write them all down. I should have said that in the beginning, shouldn't I? So there's double binds. There's also treble binds. You know, you can relax now, in a moment, or sooner than you like. That's called a treble bind. It's just three options that lead to the same outcome. This is also a sales tactic. You know, when people say, when would you like to meet, this morning or in the afternoon? It kind of takes away that idea that you're telling them to do something and actually creates an illusion of choice. When in truth, what you're saying is we're going to meet, but it's either going to be this morning or this afternoon. That's your choice. Extended quote. So what you do is you put too many reference points, and this confuses the conscious. Last week I was with Richard, who told me about his uncle's training in Byron, where his brother found a cowrie shell on the beach while walking with his girlfriend Alyssa, who loved to sing endlessly. There's too many concepts in there. Just by saying this, people will go into trance because there's too many ideas to hold. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about last week? Are you talking about Richard? Are you talking about Richard's uncle? Are you talking about Byron? Are you talking about his brother who found a cowrie shell? Are you talking about the beach? Are you talking about walking with his girlfriend Alyssa? Are you talking about her singing endlessly? What are you talking about? too many subjects. So it's a little bit like, I remember sitting one day talking to my friend John about how the world is changing. And I began to realize that the landscape all around us was fertile bushland that seemed to be changing continually. Now, just because I put changing and changing in there twice doesn't mean I'm talking about the same thing. So what you can do is extended quote is when you just put too much subject matter into your sentences. It will cause people to go into trance. Mind reads, claiming to know their thoughts. I know what you're thinking. That's right. And I know what you're wondering. And it's a good thing to wonder. That's right. Is a mind read. When someone says, I think I can do this, and you say, that's right. I think you can do this. You're using a mind read to reinforce the behavior. Universal quantifiers, a universal generalization and no referential index. In other words, it's very hard to know where all this fact comes from. Everything you are learning is so easy, or it's getting easier now. And all the things that you are learning is getting easier and easier. Everyone is getting this now. So universals are things like everything, all, everyone. They're the cues or the clues that this is a universal quantifier. Tag question. A question added after a statement, which is really designed to displace resistance. And you can you not? You can remember now, can't you? You'll find it easier and easier now, won't you? And you're starting to get all this now, aren't you? That's right. It's all starting to go in. It's a little confusing at first, but once you practice these, they become easier and easier. And you don't even have to remember what they're called. You can just remember the sentences quite easily, can't you? And as you remember the sentences, you'll find that some of these sentences just find their way into your mind. That's right. They're finding their way now into your mind. Phonological ambiguity. You're here so you can hear me now. You can know no ways to succeed but this way. You can write easily as you do right now. So you're using ambiguity in the heres and the knows and the rights, and any word that has ambiguity, but you put it in sentences that allow it to go however you choose for it to come out. Selectional restriction violation, a sentence that is not well formed in that only animals and humans can have feelings. In other words, you give inanimate objects a personality. The chair is awaiting your arrival. The window is awaiting your gaze. And those seeds are telling you to go out there now and plant ideas in the perfect places. And the screen is beckoning you to know and evidence everything that is coming up in type. The English language is forming itself quite easily in your imagination, and your logical mind is forming new foundational stones that allow you to build on your language in a way that takes people to new hemispheres, new galaxies, new places. Utilization, use anything such as a knock at the door, a car backfiring, a squeak in the floorboards. I used to have a clinic that had a squeaky floorboard, and I used to do hypnosis in that clinic often. And what I would do is I'd say, in a moment, not now, you will hear a squeaky floorboard. And that will cause these new ideas to go deep into your unconscious. And then I would just step on the squeaky floorboard and it would go, eh, and you'd say, that's right. So you can use anything. I had a toilet door which was just outside of my bottom room in the clinic. And every time I heard footsteps, I knew the only place they were going was that toilet door, which had a squeaky hinge. And I would say, in a moment, you will hear a door open to new ideas. And you'd hear, thump, 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 thump. That's right. New ideas are going into your mind now. So as opportunities knock, you find your answers. You'll hear it backfire, and when you do, you will choose better choices. A squeak sends you deeper and deeper into trance. We also had, we were near Moorabbin Airport, and, you know, planes used to fly over above, not big aircraft, not big jets, just, you know, little Cessnas and things like that. And you could hear them up above us sometimes. And I say, you are going to new heights. You are beginning to see the world above the clouds, going above your problems. And you're just, again, utilization. So there's a lot that I've shared here, but what I'd like to do is create a 20-minute exercise. I want you to consider your buddy's issue and speak hypnotically as if they have actually gained an outcome. And the way that you can do this quite simply. And the way that you could do this is open up your manual to the hypnotic lines and just kind of read through them. So, for example, I'm just going to, here's something I prepared earlier. So what I'm going to do is, for example, if you move to hypnosis, and what I'd like you to do is just grab some of the applications. Like, you know, what you'll get is, you know, there are the hypnotic language patterns. So what you could do, and by the way, this, you know, try to make it make sense, but it might not even make sense. So just say, I'm working with someone who wants to feel more confident. So I'll just choose these hypnotic patterns, and it could sound something like this. I'm going to jump around them. So it might say, as you sit there, you can feel this. That's where it stops, but you continue. You can feel this confidence. You can begin to feel this confidence, listening closely as you are learning more and more about confidence. These words, these syllables are all starting to move into your mind. You can hear my voice causing you to relax. And as you relax, you are finding that confidence is beginning to find a special place, a very special place in your mind. And you're starting to understand that it's more or less the right thing to do to allow confidence to come into your body. And you will enjoy it more and more as more confidence starts to form and come into your body. Complex equivalence. And as you practice confidence, you become more and more confident. And you'll ask more confident questions. And it means that you are becoming more and more of who you truly are. As you begin to enjoy this confidence, you'll learn more and more ways in which to be confident. Conversational postulate. Can you feel this confidence? Will you just let this confidence come now? How easily do you think you can do confidence now? Do you feel you can make the changes that you want in order to be more confident? And so it goes. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense, so don't look at this as being logical. But what you're doing is you're using this hypnotic language to allow concepts like confidence to go in. Now, here's the thing that I want to share with you before you go into this exercise. This is the first time that you've ever done this. And understand that it might feel a little weird, a little strange, a little foreign perhaps. But you will allow yourself to do this. And as you do this, just let the person take on all the gold that you put into your words, and let this gold dust start to form new ideas in their neurology. And just allow yourself to have some fun with this. So one of you will choose to be Milton, and the other will choose to be the client. And then just do this for about 20 minutes. So 10 minutes each, that's all, just 10 minutes each. And I want you to feel it. I want you to hear it. I want you to see it. And I want you to come back and share what it did for you as a client. So I only want to hear from the clients, and both of you will be clients for 10 minutes each. And just look in your manual. That's where all the patterns will be found. Just ask them, what is it that you want more of? Give it to me in one word. And they'll say, I want more confidence, or I want more presence, or I want to be more conscious, or I want to be a better ... Ask them what they want and then give it to them in hypnosis. So, any questions before we begin the exercise? I know this is a very hypnotic module. I've been using hypnotic language from the very moment we began. That's right, and you're getting it now. So, no questions? Okay, it's time to have some fun. Please have fun with this. Don't take this too seriously. Enjoy this. Allow yourself to be whatever you choose to be in this moment. So I'm going to create 6 breakout rooms. There will be one group of 3. And let's see, this is going to go, I'll give you 25 minutes so you can just get yourself prepared. That gives you 5 minutes or 2.5 minutes to get yourself prepared just by asking, what do you want? And then you'll go 10 minutes each. So I'm going to give you about 2.5 minutes to find out what you're going to do and who's going to be the coach. And then 10 full solid minutes of using hypnosis. Then swap. I'll send a signal that'll say you've got a minute to go, swap, and then swap and both experience this. And let's come back and let's find out what it is. Now, here's a little clue. You could say to them, tell me, what's your word? What's your word? So I'm going to open all rooms now.
Rick?
Yes.
Can I be in the group of 3? I'm trying to put my kids to bed and I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's not jump into the rooms yet. Okay. Some people are. So, Rory, I'm going to put you in room 1. So I'll move you to room 1.
Perfect.
And Cristiano, I'm going to move you to room 2. So there we go. Cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And you can use hypnosis on your kids. Okay, so jump in your rooms, have some fun, and really enjoy this exercise. So Michael, you're in room 4 with Sally. And Parvesh is gone. Okay, cool. Okay, so everyone's going to be coming out of their exercises. Just listen to how chilled they all are. Of course, some will be laughing, but just watch.
Thing is being recorded.
So how are we all doing?
Good.
Wow.
You guys are all very chilled there.
Lisa was in the middle of loving me up, so I feel quite lovely.
Oh, very, very cool. So how did you find it? How about sharing some of your insights around it? How did it feel? What did it seem like?
Very relaxing.
Very relaxing.
I wish we had more
I felt like I was
time.
in a guided meditation. Parvesh has got like the perfect tone, the perfect spacing between his sentences. He did an amazing job.
Parvesh Erickson.
Thank you. Even with Stephanie also, I actually felt also with her going through that process. Suddenly it seemed like a little, I mean, something like something moved like a little bit of like energized at the end of it. So they like some kind of a shift there, although like you're thinking you are just hearing this, but by the end of it could feel a bit of a a shift to some kind of energization or something. So that was good with that experience as well. Yeah,
very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I loved the way, sorry, I'm just going to jump in.
Were you coaching on confidence or self-esteem or
freedom, actually?
Freedom. Awesome. It fits.
Yeah. I loved the way that it kind of again felt like permission granting. It was like affirmations and opening the mind to new thoughts and new patterns, like kind of rewiring things in there. Because when, say, for example, if I'm struggling with freedom, then those things aren't available to me. It's like, that's not possible. So like that road's not possible neurologically. So it's like to hear Lisa then say, this is happening and it's da-da-da, and as you're doing this, you're feeling more free. It's like, oh yeah, it's kind of like opening up those pathways again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a fantastic insight, because literally that's what you're doing. Because in truth, everything that exists in Richard Branson's brain exists in yours. Everything that exists in Madonna's brain, in Pink's brain, exists in yours. Everything that exists in the worst of the world and the best of the world exists in our brains. But it depends on what you're firing off. So you can achieve, you can be anyone, but you've got to fire off the right signals. You got to fire off the right neurology, and anything's possible. When I was going through this journey, I made the decision that I wanted to go all the way. I was going to be an NLP trainer. I was going to change people's lives. I was going to do this. And I looked at my trainer, and there was a part of me that went, how could you get anywhere close to what the hell he's doing? How could you even think that? But of course, all of my coaching, all of my training, everything was leading me to there. And now I do what he does equally at the same standard. But it was inconceivable in the early days. But now I can do everything he can do. Anyone can do anything that anyone does. You just have to put it into the pathway. So beautiful. Awesome. Cool. What else did you experience? Yeah. Michael and then Lisa. Sorry, someone's speaking, but I'm looking around to find out who that is.
Oh, that was me, Rick.
That was Damien? Oh, hi, Damien. Cool. Can you share?
Yes, yeah, I was working with Cristiano. I was already kind of bought in before I even started, so it was quite easy for me to get there, I guess, with what I was wanting to work on. So Cristiano did a really great job, and yeah, just really believable. I was totally bought in, and just at the end of it, I just had a really, just totally changed the way I was kind of feeling, and just really lightened how I was feeling about that issue, which yeah, he helped me immensely. So yeah, well done to Cristiano.
Cool. Awesome. And if you think about it, that was only 10 minutes. You know, that was only 10% of a coaching session. You know, incredible that you can get that result so fast. You know, and it was, you know, how many times has Cristiano done this?
He just had a really
that was it. So awesome, you guys. Fantastic result. So someone else also wanted to share.
Just give back to Damien. Because we work on our word. So my word was opportunities in this case.
Yeah.
I like the way he elaborated in his own words. It made me realize things that I didn't realize myself. Because I was trying to elaborate by myself why I choose that word, and I couldn't kind of figure it out. But he really helped me out, elaborate around it, and understand why I choose that word. So yeah, well done to him as well.
Cool. Good job. Awesome. And Michael wanted to share as well.
Look, I only wanted to say Sally has the most beautiful and gentle hypnotic voice. And within seconds, I was just feeling myself just dropping off. And that seemed like, that whole 10 minutes seemed like 10 seconds. I was disappointed to stop. So I have to admit, I'm sorry, I was a bit zoned out. So I don't know what I experienced. I was just happily listening to her voice and hearing those keywords pop up every now and then.
Yeah. Now, you also raised something. Who here does meditation by a show of hands? Who meditates?
At times, not regularly, but at times.
Yeah. Okay. So you've also experienced in meditation, you might go under meditation for, let's say, 20 minutes, and it kind of feels like 5 minutes sometimes because there's a time distortion. You know, it distorts time because meditation is hypnosis. Hypnosis is meditation. They're the same thing. They are the same thing. But of course, they call them different things because they have different purposes. But they're the same thing. Very, very cool. So you wanted to stay there because Sally just did awesome work with her voice.
Well, actually, her voice stopped, and I was there waiting for her to keep going. And when I opened my eyes, we were all back in the room. That's why she'd stopped, and I was there going, "Come on, more."
That is so funny. Very, very cool. Awesome. Good job. Rory, you've got your hand up. Did you put your kids to sleep?
I did.
With hypnosis?
No, I thought it was best just to stay silent and stay quiet as possible so that they could get to sleep. And I appreciate everyone working with me in that regard.
You're welcome.
The difference between Hazal and Lisa was quite interesting. They both achieved the result, but in their own unique way. Lisa was it seemed a little bit more shy, not shy, uncertain. So it was a lot quicker. And then Hazal put a lot more pauses, and the shape of the sentences was different. But Lisa was able to condense so many topics into it. It like as I was saying, it was this series and it was this affirmations, and it just beat you into freedom. It worked and it was great. But it was so interesting to see the difference in styles between the two people. Using that tool. It was caught me off guard.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Awesome.
I was just going to say, Rory, are you feeling more consistent and free now?
Well, definitely free. And yeah, there's a level of consistency amongst that thought pattern.
Fantastic. Now, Rory, you also trade. So something that you can actually do is you could get yourself in the ideal state before you trade. You know, if you could work out what is the ideal state that you could be in before trading and get yourself into that state, you will find that trading will be easier. So there could be a huge opportunity for you there.
Definitely.
So let me give you another parent opportunity. This is when I was learning NLP, my girls were very, very young. You know, one wasn't even born. And what I would do is the biggest challenge for parents quite often is getting their kids to sleep. So what I would do is I would my job was, you know, as a father, was because I was coaching all day and training and stuff, I wanted to have connection with my daughters. So my wife and I said, well, you know, you do all your stuff, you go out, coach, teach, do all that. And then at night, I'll create a space so you can put the girls to bed, or put Zoe to bed, my first daughter, when she was born. And so what I would do is I would come home from the clinic and then I would lay in her bed with her and I'd say, okay, what do you want to read? And she would have a book, give it to me, and I go, okay, cool, you ready? You know, so we'd have a bit of a conversation, and sometimes I'd be the terrible dad and I'd wind her up because we used to have puppets and we used to do stories and stuff like that. And so when it got to time for her to sleep, I would open up the book and I would say, and Snow White began to discover that her eyelids were getting very heavy, very, very heavy. And she felt just like all these little tiny lines on her eyelashes had tiny little lead balloons on them, and she could feel her eyelids getting very heavy. And so what would happen is I could see my daughter's eyes just starting to flicker, and they'd flicker, and then all of a sudden she'd just go out to it, fall asleep. Until, of course, she cottoned on. And then she would go, whenever I said something like, and Snow White's eyes, and she would go and cover my mouth so I couldn't speak. But it was so funny just watching her go to sleep. But here's the thing, whatever challenge they're having, what you can do is you can talk to them while they're asleep. You know, that time that you're having some challenges at school, that's just to teach you something. School is not just to teach you in the traditional ways. School is to teach you with challenges. And you might find that at school, whenever you have challenges, there's a part of you that will rise above your challenges and will see yourself in those challenges and teach you what those challenges are to teach you. In fact, you might find that school gets better and easier as you get wiser and smarter. That's right. You can feel yourself getting wiser and smarter right now, can't you? So you could do that. You could just talk to them while they're asleep because their unconscious is still awake. So it's a huge opportunity. It really, really is. Now, there was also something that you raised as well, Michael. And sorry, was it Michael that raised this? No, I think it was Rory. You were saying that some of the styles between Lisa and Hazal were quite different. And you said, I think you said Hazal was putting in very long pauses. Did you know Milton Erickson was also putting in very, very long pauses? Now, I discovered something really interesting. I had a client I was really tired because I used to sometimes work very long hours. And I remember I was very tired working with a client, and I was falling under hypnosis myself. And and I was taking notes as I was going, writing notes. And what happened was I just went out to it. And I don't know how long I went out to it, but I could see when I came to, I could see this little squiggle on my notepad. and so they were still out to it. And when they came back, when I woke them back up and they came back out of trance, they went, "Oh my God, that was the best ever." And I think it was the best ever because there were really long pauses. So the great thing about long pauses is that's where content can go in because you're not speaking. So feel free to put great pauses into the special place. That's right, where all great pauses are kept. So great opportunities, fantastic opportunities. So is there anyone else that wants to share? One more person before we move into your word? Yeah, Vicky.
I worked with Dave John, and he just has the perfect voice for it. The pauses are perfect. Just gives you confidence. It's like going to meditation, but I understand it's like hypnotic. Yeah, it's great.
It was fantastic. Good work. Awesome.
And very relaxed.
Awesome. And the thing is that you know that you can use your own personality in hypnosis. And we're going to be doing more on this. So this is not the finish. This is just the beginning. What I want you to do is practice some of these, just the sentences. And the way to do it is just read through them slowly.
Yeah.
And I got very good at it because we created, I just sat next to the class clown when I was doing prac. And we created a thing called hypnotic bingo. And what we would do is in between breaks, he would start or I would start, and we knew the game had begun. So he would come out with a phrase, a hypnotic phrase, and then I had to come out with a hypnotic phrase, and then he would, I would, until one of us got stuck. And then the other person would say, bingo, and so they would win. So he would say, and those thoughts that you're having are very special thoughts. And you could only do one once. You couldn't do it more than once. If you got stuck, someone would go, that's right, because that was the easiest to remember. And those things that you're remembering are easy things to remember. And then all the things that you're remembering are coming easily and effortlessly. And those seeds are planting themselves in your mind, creating new ideas now, and you would just keep going. So it was a really good technique to get very, very good at hypnotic texts, hypnotic lines. And after a while, you'll find that they're easy and effortless, and they will find new ways in your mind to create new opportunities as you do. So that's it for me. So what I'm going to now do is I want to ask you, what is your word? What is your word for 2022? And if that's your word, what you can do is you can work with each other to really install that word so it becomes you. So I'll say your name and then you say your word and why. So Hazal, what is your word and why?
Oh gosh, yeah, mine's freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah, so that's why I chose it for the hypnosis. Right there.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Why freedom?
I'm guessing because you want to create more freedom in your life.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in many aspects. So both on a physical level, but also just on a in a psychological level.
Yeah.
Freedom to act, freedom to be, freedom to move, freedom to express, freedom to freedom from particular thought patterns, freedom from like just freedom everywhere.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So actually, I'll give you this tip at the very end. Okay. Awesome. Can we give you a huge round of applause? Freedom is a great word, and we can all do with a lot of freedom. Sandra, what is your special word and why?
Mine is kindness and compassion.
Kindness and compassion.
So in the work I do, sometimes I get clients that's very challenging or can be very tiring.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find myself running out of patience and consideration.
Yeah.
So it is good to keep cultivating that kindness and compassion. And I want to keep reminding myself of that, even when it's difficult sometimes.
Cool. So that's kind of like you stretching you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome. Can we give Sandra a round of applause? Kindness and compassion, great 2 words. Lisa, what are your words or word?
I feel like I've got freedom well under control. So the opposite side of that for me is consistency.
So hence your hypnotic induction.
Exactly. So it was funny, Hazal's and mine, they were like opposites. But the reason why I want to do consistency is because I'm really great at starting things.
Come on, Dad. Come on, man.
And not as good as at finishing things,
That's
but
a
also
boy.
because of my distractible nature of just go down a rabbit hole and keep going there, find something else. So I would like to work on consistency. So
yeah,
that's really why. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So you could create something that you can keep working on it and then build upon something rather than only build it so big.
Yeah. Or even something like, trying to take on any kind of change that I require it to be ongoing. Like I'll literally only be able to do it for a few days and then I'm off that.
Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Awesome. Let's give you a round of applause. Consistency. Excellent. Dave.
Mine was alignment.
Alignment.
Yeah. So alignment, it kind of changes, but basically alignment with what I need at that time, alignment with opportunity, alignment with confidence, alignment with, doing what is correct for me at that time, standing in my truth. And actually a funny thing, I don't know if you guys can see this, I've got a tattoo here on my finger, this one, and it actually means balance and alignment. And that's what I want to do, be more balanced and aligned instead of kind of jumping all over the place and doing too much. I want to be more aligned to myself. But the cool thing, I didn't realize this till actually after it happened, was the other tattoo I've got here. Lisa and I got tattoos together. And so she got a star on her and I was like, I want to get the same tattoo. And I realized after I got it that when I stay in alignment, well, then I can shine even brighter. And it's something that's a constant reminder to me when I see my finger. And I'm like, yeah, when I'm in alignment, my light shines even brighter and I can be more incredible, more beautiful. And then, and spread that out. So yeah, it was very cool.
That is fantastic. So you've put it into a symbolic image as well, as a reminder, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I think that will work very well for you, to create, it's kind of consistency. I see, there's certainly a value in there that is part of alignment too. You can see some of these words all can link, of course. But, the thing is that when you are totally aligned to who you are, what you do, etc., people will get you, and people will get the value that you provide, which is awesome. Cool. Good job. Excellent. Michael, what's your word? I think Michael might be frozen, perhaps. I'm not sure. Okay, we'll come back to Michael. Stephanie, what's your word?
My word is courage. And that's in all areas. Courage to step out of my comfort zones.
Yeah.
Courage to take risks, speak my truth, put myself out there, not to shrink. And I just feel like that I need more courage, and so I can achieve my visions, which are quite huge. So
Excellent. Courage is a great word, because putting yourself, like being focused on courage means that, we all get scared. We all do. There's certain things that kind of stretch us just a little bit too much, and we shrink back or we flick back to that. But to be conscious of courage means that you're most likely to have quite an extraordinary life in this year, because you'll be focused on going, yep, I'm feeling fierce. That's a signal that tells me I should be courageous right now. And that can only help you and others as a result of that. So that's a cool word. Cool. Excellent. Great job. Vicky, what's your word? Your word is mute. Are you still muted? Yeah, it's one button there. There we go.
Yeah,
You got
it
it.
just wouldn't go. Flexibility. I had too many choices, but yeah.
Yeah, too many buttons.
No, I had too many buttons, too many choices, too many words
Yeah.
to choose. They just kept flowing out. But I think my life at the moment requires lots of flexibility. So,
Yeah, cool. And flexibility, actually, I think, is a great theme for what we've faced, particularly over the last few years. So flexibility, pivoting, changing, shifting, flexing is really quite a value word, I would think, in this current time. So that's fantastic. Awesome. Good word. So Sonia, what is your word?
I've got two. I started with determination.
Cool. Yeah.
And yesterday, courage came in too, because, have the determination, but behind that comes the courage.
Yeah.
So, yep. So big plans, lots I want to do, having the determination to do it and the courage to pull it off.
Yeah. And determination and courage could create new opportunities for you. Like the moment you're determined, that's going to help you really focus, really get moving.
Yep.
And then to have courage behind it means that you'll back yourself.
Yes.
And the truth is, the only way you can actually have courage is to feel fear. So being okay to be scared but continue is fantastic.
Yeah,
it can create incredible opportunities for you. In fact, lots of your words will create opportunities for you. Cool. Awesome. Excellent. Great job. Sally, what is your word for this year?
Non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental. Okay, that's now, why non-judgmental? What's your reason behind that?
I didn't someone close to me accused me of being judgmental, which made me stop and think a lot.
Yeah.
Am I judgmental? I think it sort of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
But it made me think a lot.
Yeah. So in a way, it was a gift.
Absolutely. Because now I'm determined not to be so not to be judgmental, and perhaps be aware of if I am being judgmental.
Yeah. I had an experience just over the weekend. We went off to Canberra over the weekend, and I decided that weekend I was going to really push myself to see whether I could get rid of judgment. And because I see judgment as fear quite often, we kind of judge someone so we can put them in a category and so forth. And I found it so hard. And I know what I'm about to say is so politically incorrect, But what I found myself doing is, you know, I was in a shopping center and I noticed someone who was very large. And I felt myself judge them immediately. And I thought, why do you do that? That's just a person, just like you, who is living their life. Okay, you might say that they eat too much, exercise too little, or whatever judgments we might have, but everyone should have the right to be whatever size they are, you know, and appear however they want to appear. And I realized that there's so much conditioning that sits in school and work and all of those sorts of things. And, you know, I think it's a great spiritual challenge to get yourself to a point to bring down judgment, which as a byproduct, you'll probably have a bit of what Sonia's got, which is courage as well, because it does take courage also.
Absolutely, because it really made me very aware. And I do the same thing, Rick. You know, you see, like I'm judgmental about people being really obese.
Yeah.
And as you say, what right have I got
to
judge them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So really, that person calling me that gave me a really big gift because it made me more aware.
Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. What a great word. Excellent. So, Rory, what was your word?
I was going to go with awareness.
Awareness. Okay.
Yeah.
Why awareness?
It's really easy to get caught up in the moment and not be aware of what's happening to you and not feel your feelings, not be aware of what's happening inside your BS belief systems.
Yeah.
And if you can change that, the change that you can impact into your life and to the world is just unstoppable. So awareness, if I can be aware, know what I'm feeling, know what is right for me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And equally, you're a parent. You've got one child, two more.
Three.
You got three children. So you got three little children, and well, I don't know whether they're all little.
No, they're little. They're 8, 6, and 4.
Okay, cool. So the thing is this: your children they're going to want you to be aware of them, and just being aware, like. There's nothing that we love more as humans than to be seen, you know, and to be witnessed, you know, and sometimes being aware is going, oh my God, I didn't realize how clever you are at that. Or I didn't realize how talented you are at this. And that's being aware. And boy, if you can be that as a parent, you will lift their self-esteem, you will make them fly. And so there's an absolute value and a benefit to your children, you know, let alone yourself and others. So aware is very, very cool. That is fantastic. Huge round of applause. Excellent. Cool. Pavesh, what is your word?
Well, I think I've been thinking about this, so a bit confusing which one should be, but there are several, and I didn't know how to put them together. I think my one thing when I started off during my this session with Stephanie as well was just this hypnotic session. It's basically like what I always thought is always been like a confidence factor. So that's what I thought. That confidence is going to be my value. That's what I want to focus on. But then there was also, I came up with quite a few. I also thought I also have issues with the consistency, as Lisa had mentioned. You know, the doing. I started with some things, but they're disorganized, and then I just move into a different direction. So I thought maybe basically my word should be, I mean, to put. I have issues with the consistency, with confidence, with determination to do things, concentration. So I thought maybe if I put them all in together, maybe it's willpower to focus. That's something I should think about, just to have enough willpower to focus on something to willpower to follow through. So basically, I should have something willpower to follow through. Like, general things apart from confidence about being good at doing the NLP and coaching and all. Even like general, as I mentioned, say something like meditation. Like I mentioned, I'm not very regular, but I always think about it. I should be more regular. From next week on, I'll get up at this time and I'll do it half an hour in the morning.
Yeah.
But do not follow through with that. Something in life gets in its way, and I'm a more of a afternoon evening person. Then I think, okay, from next week on, I'm going to change that, do that for about a few days, and then doesn't follow. So I think probably that's the reason I think I should concentrate on to have the willpower to follow through on what I want, whether I want to be more confident, more consistent, and basically that's what it is. I don't know how to put that in one word, but
yeah, because this remember, this came up last week.
Yeah.
Less is more for you.
Yes.
Your challenge
is
to be succinct.
Right. Okay.
And that is about being very focused.
Okay. Right.
So that's where you need to be.
Right.
Well, you don't need to be, but it's an opportunity to be there, because it's quite different to you're more rather than less. And equally, you're trying to get too many words in this. But if you could just focus on one, you will find great opportunities to focus.
Right.
But yours is willpower to follow through, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So do follow through with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we give you a huge round of applause? But you actually Parvesh, you led into the next piece in this. Right. So have I asked everybody here? I know some people had to go. Is there anyone I missed? So did I miss anybody? Damien. We didn't do Damien, did we? Damien, please share your word.
Yeah, mine is courage as well. Quite a common thread tonight. I just feel as if this year, 2022, I feel I need more courage. Not that I don't have it, because I guess when you feel as if there's something like an issue, you kind of get stuck in that comparison between what you really want, what you don't have. So I have courage, but I'd like more. Just in terms around issues or challenges that are maybe confronting this year, that I'd like to be able to face them with courage and deal with them.
Awesome. So that means that your year is possibly going to be quite transformational this year, because you'll be facing those challenges.
Yeah, and I think that's where, I'm big on learning, and I guess that's the growth for me, is the learning. So yeah, transformational.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Now, here's the next piece. That's your word. What I'd like you to do is work out your strategy now to get that word. So what strategy will you use in order to get that word? So for example, Damien was talking about courage. What could be a strategy for courage to happen? And that is, your strategy could be, whenever I feel fear, I know that I have to summon my courage and do it. So that could be a strategy. Or another strategy could be, I am going to plan to do something scary every week. At least one thing every week. I'm going to be looking to do something scary every week. Something that's really scared me. So that could be another strategy. If you want to add another step to the strategy, you could say, right, this Saturday, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write down everything I'm scared of, and I'm going to put it into a list of tasks. That's another strategy. So that's how you get your word, is by putting a strategy down to actually achieve your word. What will you do? Just like my strategy to get beyond judgment is put myself in positions where I'm more likely to judge. Shopping centers, you know, people that go off, you know, to get all the donuts. I used to be very judgy of those people, even though I was one of those people at one point of my life. People who smoke, people who drink, you know, there was a homeless person, you know, that was having a bong out in the street. You know, I found myself getting quite judgy of him. You know, I thought, what right have I got to judge him? It's his life, not mine. You know, so create a strategy to be able to fulfill your word. So that's your challenge for next week. Now, what I also want to do is I just quickly want to explain what I'm going to be doing next week. And so this is what we'll be doing next week. So I'm going to introduce you to what I call my success matrix. It's a strategy in order to create success. I'm also going to show to you my sales system that I use to get coaching clients. So I'm going to show you step by step how I get coaching clients. This system I've designed myself. It's hugely reliable, and I get a very, very high percentage of success. When I say a high percentage, usually out of every 10 people that I talk to about coaching, 8 of them become my clients using this particular system. So I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to give you the templates and everything so that you can use this if you want to pursue coaching. So I'm also going to give you my coaching administration system, how I structure from when someone says, I want coaching, what do I do next? What's my system? I want to give these things to you because they're the sorts of things that people, if you don't have them, people might go, I'm not going to coach because it's too complicated. So I want to take the complication out of it. And I'm going to introduce you into what I call the coaching series. So it's what I've added into the training, and all of my students in past courses go, oh my God, I love the coaching series. Why they love the coaching series is because I will coach one of you live. So you're going to give me a problem or a challenge that you're wanting to get through or to, and I will actually coach you in real time. So it means that people can watch and listen and learn as to how I'm coaching. So you can take notes and here's some hypnotic language, and learn easily and effortlessly as you learn to coach clients just by watching you learn in the most profound ways, noticing how much easier coaching seems to be for you now. So, of course, I wanted to put some hypnotic language in that. So that's it for tonight. Your home play is to practice using conversational hypnosis to improve any situation. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for bearing with me because there was a huge amount of information I wanted to give you tonight and a lot of insights that I wanted to give you. But this is the first part of our hypnosis. We're going to be doing some deeper level stuff further into the training. I'm going to give you scripts. I'm going to give you a whole host of things to use for hypnosis. Hypnosis is fantastic. Your clients will love hypnosis because they'll come out of the session feeling absolutely fantastic, just like you did in 10 minutes. You know, so it's a fantastic series of techniques. And next week I'll do the coaching so you can experience what coaching actually looks like, sounds like, and feels like. And I'm going to be giving you insights going, the reason I did this is because, or why I didn't do that, instead I did this was because. So I'm going to be giving you all these insights. So any questions before we wrap up for tonight? No questions? I want to create one statement. Folks, you are a delight to teach. You really, really are. I'm very lucky to have some incredible minds in this group, and some really big hearts. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for creating this opportunity for me to teach you. And thank you for being in this space. Have an amazing week. Use your hypnotic language as you can and allow yourself to have your word and experience your word. That's right. You will experience your word.
Thank
Cool.
you, Rick.
You're welcome, folks.
Amazing,
Have an
mate.
awesome week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Be your word.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, folks.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.